Do you have a secret sister?
I believe I do have a sister out there.
This is the DNA test, and it says the probability of relatedness is 96.7%. You didn't believe there'd be a match.
No way.
No matter how much Janet Jackson tries to quiet the rumors, the speculation about her having a child with James DeBarge just won't go away. For years, people close to them and fans from the 1980s have claimed they either saw or heard that Janet was pregnant and later had a baby girl. The gossip grew stronger because members of the DeBarge family, including James himself, have publicly said there was a child and that Janet was trying to keep the situation private. Recently, a DNA test reportedly confirmed a 96.7% chance that the child is indeed related, surprising many who doubted there would be a match. After years of searching and uncertainty, James may finally be connecting with his long-lost daughter. It seems he might have broken through Janet's barriers and is now reaching the girl he has been trying to find for so long, ending decades of questions and speculation.
If it's true, you'll find out when she's ready for you to find out.
I'm sure he feels betrayed. I'm sure he feels sad. I'm sure he feels disappointed. I'm sure he feels like he was robbed of that relationship with his daughter. But at the same time, I know my dad loves Janet till this day. I know that her family had a huge influence on her. And, you know, if she was pregnant, the only thing that I can think of was that they felt that she still had a very long career ahead of her.
This isn't the first time that James DeBarge, his family, or longtime fans from the 1980s have talked about a secret daughter that Janet Jackson might be keeping private. Over the years, rumors have kept coming, and at one point, Janet had to speak up about it. She made it clear that she would never keep a child away from their father, and that the idea of hiding a child is completely untrue. Despite all the speculation, she insisted that she is honest and responsible when it comes to family, leaving no room for doubt about her intentions.
They were saying that I had a child and I kept it secret. How could I keep a child from their father? I could never do that. That's not right. I don't know where that ridiculous idea came from. Where was the baby? Nobody saw a baby. I mean, she was there with us all day, every day. Where was the baby? Where? Who? Where? They were saying that I was raising her daughter. I couldn't believe it. First, they were saying my niece Brandy was my daughter, and that I gave it to Jackie to raise.
Doesn't it seem strange how Janet Jackson handled all those rumors about having a child with James DeBarge? She never flat out said, "I don't have a child." She didn't deny the existence of a child either. Instead, she used her years of experience in public relations to dodge the question, giving vague answers that left people guessing. So why would she avoid the topic if it was true? It seems the reasons go back to the chaos surrounding her relationship with James, the challenges with her father, Joe Jackson, and the struggles James faced during that time. Janet and James first met in 1982, at a point when Janet was a rising star. She was the youngest member of the legendary Jackson family, already earning recognition for her appearances on shows like Good Times and Different Strokes. James, on the other hand, was part of the DeBarge family, a Motown act famous for hits like Rhythm of the Night, All This Love, and I Like It. When their paths crossed through Hollywood connections, they quickly fell in love. But according to insiders, Joe Jackson didn't see James as a suitable partner for his daughter. He saw him as a threat. James was struggling with drug addiction at the time, and Joe worried the relationship could ruin Janet's career and damage the Jackson family's reputation. Despite his concerns, Janet was determined, and in 1984, she eloped and married James. The DeBarge family was thrilled, and one of their uncles even officiated the ceremony. But when Joe found out, he was furious. Allegedly, he threatened to cut Janet off completely if she didn't end the marriage. Janet was only 18 and James was 21. Joe's anger wasn't just about being a protective father. He was also managing her career and was obsessed with controlling both her life and the family's public image. This intense control is part of why Janet later distanced herself from him as she got older. Around this time, Janet reportedly became pregnant. Some suggest she married James because she was already expecting. If that was true, Revealing the pregnancy at 18 could have had serious consequences for her career and the family's reputation. On top of that, James' struggles with addiction made the situation even more complicated. Still, James has said that their love was genuine. He described their relationship as the right people at the wrong time. If they had been more mature, he believes things could have worked out perfectly. Janet later shared in her 2022 documentary that their marriage quickly became difficult and far from romantic. James' addiction worsened, and she tried to be a supportive wife, often putting his needs ahead of her own career. She would sometimes have to go find him in random places when he was drunk or struggling. She even hid or disposed of pills she found around the house. These situations led to constant arguments and tension between them. By March 1985, just 8 months after their wedding, Janet reportedly had an ailment. If she had a child at that time, exposing them to the chaos of James' addiction and the pressures of fame would have been extremely risky. The 1980s were also a time when celebrity scandals dominated tabloids. Any hint of a secret child, especially involving the Jackson name, would have been sensationalized and potentially damaging. Joe Jackson, being media savvy, likely understood this and may have worked to keep the matter private. Around that time, Janet seemed to disappear from the public eye. She appeared less and less in media, which made people speculate that she was hiding something. When she returned, she was an 18-year-old divorcee, looking stressed and having gained weight, likely from long hours of work and the pressures of life.
Where was the baby? Nobody saw a baby. I mean, she was there with us all day, every day. Where was the baby?
James never stopped believing he had a daughter. Despite Janet trying to dismiss the rumors, he was determined to find her. His family stood firmly by his side, insisting that a child existed. They were frustrated and confused about why Janet wouldn't let them meet or communicate with her, keeping the mystery alive.
Ever see Janet where you thought she was pregnant?
Yes. When the marriage was annulled, that Janet was pregnant. And James believed that as well.
You believe that there's a child.
I think we all believe that James and Janet had a child.
Now that many years have passed, it seems Janet Jackson has relaxed a bit and doesn't mind James finally getting to know his daughter. She appears to be okay with them forming a relationship, as long as his family doesn't make it a big public story again. Maybe that's why James and his relatives have stopped discussing it openly. Still, word of it has made its way into the public, and people feel validated that there really was a child. It wasn't just a rumor. If a father struggled with addiction, it makes sense to protect a child from chaos and instability. Now that the daughter is grown, she can decide for herself if she wants to meet her dad. Back in the day, Janet was a main character on Fame, and when her pregnancy started showing, she was let go from the show without a clear explanation. The producers said it was just weight gain, but it was obvious around her belly. Some say her father pressured her into an annulment, and by the time she left the show, she looked visibly pregnant. Even Right On magazine reported that Janet and James were expecting a child, but the story seemed to vanish quickly. Shortly after, her hit song Control was released. These events only add to the mystery and speculation surrounding that period of her life. The important thing now is that any reunion is private and respectful, allowing the family to reconnect without media interference.